Let's be honest, if you're a parent, you've definitely seen it. Your kid, totally mesmerized by a phone, just scrolling and scrolling through an endless feed of super short videos. It's everywhere, it's nonstop, and it really makes you wonder, is all this constant stimulation actually changing their brains? Today, we're going to dive into the science behind the scroll and figure out what it all means for our kids' attention spans.
A goldfish's attention span. Wow. When you hear a neuroscience expert like Patrick Porter say that, it definitely gets your attention. It's a pretty startling comparison, and it really hits at the heart of what so many of us are worried about. Are these apps literally reshaping our ability to focus? Let's unpack what's really going on here.
So what is TikTok brain? Now, it's not some official medical diagnosis you'll find in a textbook. It's more of a shorthand for a very real feeling. After hours of these rapid-fire, bite-sized videos, the real world can feel, well, boring. A book just doesn't give you a plot twist every 15 seconds, right? A homework problem doesn't give you that immediate little thrill. It's this new kind of struggle with anything that requires patience.
To really get what's happening, we've got to look under the hood. This goes way deeper than just kids being distracted. There's some powerful brain chemistry at play here, all centered around our brain's reward system. So let's get into the science of it all.
This right here breaks down a cycle that is incredibly powerful. You've probably heard apps like TikTok called dopamine machines, and this is exactly why. Every single funny, shocking, or cute video delivers a tiny hit of dopamine. That's the brain's feel-good chemical. That pleasure reinforces the action, making you crave more. And if a video is boring, just swipe. Your brain learns to constantly hunt for that next, super fast reward. And here's where we see the real conflict. Think of it like a tug-of-war in the brain. On one side, you have directed attention. That's the heavy lifting focus you need for things like reading or finishing a project. It's a mental muscle. On the other side, you have the world of TikTok. Constant, rapid change that requires almost zero sustained focus. And here's the kicker. The part of the brain that manages that deep focus, the prefrontal cortex, isn't fully developed until you're about 25. So when a developing brain gets wired for that constant digital churn, asking it to slow down for homework can feel almost impossible.
This points to a fascinating and maybe a little concerning shift. It's as if the brain is becoming less of a hard drive, for storing facts, and more like a super fast search engine. It's getting brilliant at remembering how to find information, but maybe not so practiced at actually holding on to that information.
Okay, I know. That all sounds pretty doom and gloom. But hang on. The story is definitely not that simple. Because this is where the whole conversation takes a really interesting pivot. What if we've been asking the wrong questions this whole time?
This is the key. The whole debate is so often about the amount of screen time, the hours logged. But what if we should be focusing on the quality of that time instead? What if we could actually harness this incredible technology for good?
And you know what? There's real data to back this idea up. One recent study, for example, found that when kids watch high-quality educational content, you can see measurable gains in their language skills. We're talking bigger vocabularies, better pronunciation, and they start building more complex sentences. It really suggests that the screen itself isn't the enemy. It's all about what we choose to put on it.
Now, this data completely flips that short attention span argument on its head. Instead of fighting against it, what if we worked with it? I mean, look at this chart. Students watched nearly 100% of educational videos that were 6 minutes or less. But look what happens as the videos get longer. Engagement totally plummets. This tells us that short, focused educational content isn't a compromise. It's actually one of the most effective ways to teach.
So, if quality is the name of the game, how do we find it? How do we make sure that the stuff our kids are watching is not just educational, but also safe and ethically made? Okay, let's get practical and build a playbook. So, for us parents, it seems our job description has a new line item. We have to be curators. This checklist is a great place to start. It pushes us to ask bigger questions than just, is this okay for a 5-year-old? Like, does it actually entertain and teach something useful, like social skills? And this one is my favorite. Does it encourage you to watch with them and talk about it later? The best content often starts a conversation long after the screen goes dark. And it's not just on us. We also have to think about the kids on the other side of the screen, the ones in the videos. These best practices from voice actors show what responsible creation looks like. It's all about creating a safe space, paying kids fairly for their work, and this one's a really big deal right now, making sure their voices and data aren't being used to train artificial intelligence. And on an even higher level, UNICEF gives us a super clear ethical test for any content that involves children.
It's so simple but so powerful. The child's dignity and safety have to come first, always. That means if there's any chance a photo or a story could put a child at risk, you just don't post it. Period. It's a non-negotiable. And the good news is, there are much better options out there. This isn't an all-or-nothing game. You can see here how different platforms are building in safety right from the start. For the little ones, an app like Zigazoo has actual human beings moderating every single video. For older kids, you've got apps like Moostar that have all the fun of trends but without dangerous things like open chats with total strangers. It's all about finding the right tool for the right age.
So where does all this leave us? Well, it really comes down to a simple, but I think really powerful idea. We need to start thinking about our kids' digital content the same way we think about their food.
You wouldn't let your kid live on a diet of just candy and chips, right? Well, endless, mindless scrolling is pretty much digital junk food. But a balanced digital diet, one that's full of high-quality, educational, and safe content, that can be incredibly nourishing. The goal isn't to ban screens entirely. It's to shift from being passive consumers to being active, thoughtful curators. At the end of the day, this digital world isn't going anywhere. For this generation of kids, this is their playground. So the real question for all of us isn't if they'll play there, but what kind of playground we're going to help them build.